Hi guys, I'm only going to broach this topic very lightly in a very short video here, but it's something I'll probably go into in more specifics and more depth in future videos. And it's simply that I have an issue with the preconception that historical documentation or historical advice or historical methods of doing things are necessarily always correct or always the best advice. Okay, so clearly I work with historical sources as much as I can when I'm learning about the use of historical weapons, because as a trained or qualified, shall we say, in terms of I was a graduate of archaeology and history, this is what I've been trained to do, is to use historical and archaeological sources to give evidence and guidance to my conclusions on how certain technology, and a weapon is a type of technology, how certain technology was used in historical periods. Okay, and as far as I'm concerned, it's very stupid or negligent to ignore historical sources if they exist. So, for example, some people practice rapier fencing, as an example, and they just get a pair of practice rapiers and they use them for fencing and they don't really study the sources. Well, that's fine, it might be fun, I don't mind if people want to do that. However, it's not historical rapier fencing because they're not studying anything historical apart from using a historical replica kind of weapon. Okay? Without the context, it loses the historical bit. It just becomes modern rapier fencing, which might be very similar to historical rapier fencing, but it might be completely different, and you don't know unless you look at the historical sources. However, and this is the point of the video, is that there is a dangerous assumption that just because something is genuine and historical, that it is good. So, for example, if we look at British backsword sources of the 18th century, there is a variety of advice given in them. So clearly, not all 18th century backsword masters agreed with each other, and some of them might be, not necessarily, some of them might give better advice than other sources. Okay? Clearly, if we were to rely on our modern medicine by using medieval Arabic treatises, we probably wouldn't have a very effective modern medical system. We have moved forward, we have learnt things, and we have learnt what's right and what's wrong, and clearly some things that were done in the past were less efficient than now, or worse than now. Okay? Now, equally, just because something wasn't that good in the past doesn't mean it's not worth anything. It was still a historical fencing system, and therefore we should still learn from it and learn about it. However, it is fair to say, and some people in HEMA steer around this and avoid confronting this, it is fair to say that one longsword source may be better than another longsword source. A longsword master X might have been a better fencer than longsword person Y and have given better advice or written a better treatise. So that's all I'm going to say here. I'll look more in depth in the future, but sometimes historical sources are not on an equal footing. Some are better than others. Okay, cheers.